Hi, welcome back. My name's Chris. I'm a French teacher at OuiCommunicate. In this video we'll be discussing a letter I received in the mail. I don't know how they found my address, but I received a letter in the mail today that contains a question among other things. It tells me, or rather it asks me, "Dear Chris, you seem to know many things. Thank you. Tell us, why do most language apps suck?" The first thing I have to say is we do not condone this type of language at OuiCommunicate. I have to make this very clear before I get to the rest of it. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, including language app users. I don't think it's fair, and I do not condone this type of language that implies, or rather says explicitly, that all language apps suck. It's not true that they all suck. The fact of the matter is that, never mind. Well, I would address this question because it interests me, although I do not like the terms used. So this being said, why do we have the feeling that most language apps suck? I'll tell you why. Okay, this is the part of the video where it gets serious. Dear letter writer, I think language apps do mostly suck, and there are some very logical reasons for this. Now, the first thing you have to do is ask yourself the question. You have to go back to the origin of the app. You have to go back to that very first spark of inspiration, that very first impulse that compelled someone to create an app. You have to ask yourself, at this very original spark, that very first second, who invented the app and why? At this early stage, the inventor is either an app developer, an app builder, or a language teacher, /tutor. They're either the inventor, the developer, or the language tutor. In very rare cases, do they happen to be both. Very rarely do you get a language teacher who also just happens to be an app developer. That's important to understand. To create an effective learning system in an app, the design, the pedagogical design, has to come from the experienced teacher, right? You have the developer over here, you have the teacher over here, but not just any teacher. It can't just be any teacher, if you think about it. A high school teacher, for example, has experience teaching a curriculum, a state's curriculum in languages, but not necessarily teaching a language system. That's a different job altogether. So you can be a high school language teacher, but not necessarily have experience in teaching a language system of your own invention. It's a different job, because there's a difference between following instructions from a language curriculum and developing your own method, right? So you have to ask yourself at the origin, when you're developing this app, who are you hiring? Is it a high school teacher? Is it a person who's invented their own language system? This matters a lot. Very few teachers, very few, or tutors, ever built a system of their own invention. Very few. 0,000%. So that means very few of them spend years in their trade analyzing what works, testing new ideas, new teaching ideas, new language learning ideas, refining the process and improving specific variables. Most remain at the same level of expertise for decades. I've seen it, we've all seen it. And for some reason, we always seem to think that, I don't know, language teachers are these inventive and malleable people who are all coming up with new ideas all the time. It's not true at all. So in most cases, their teaching doesn't evolve. It really doesn't. It isn't more, I don't know, enjoyable, more effective, or more scalable. It isn't faster, it isn't slow. It just pretty much stays the same. It's just what they've always done, these language tutors or teachers. And this isn't unique to education, by the way. You know, few dentists, let's take the example of dentists, few dentists ever reinvent dentistry. Few mechanics innovate in their trade. For most people, it's simply a job that you repeat day after day. So now let's return to that initial spark, the initial idea of creating a language app. The app's financier or developer must now find, there's two parts, right? There's the inventor of the app, the person who finances it, who develops it. Sometimes they're the same person, sometimes they're different people. One has the money, one has the know-how, but now you still have to find a person who's knowledgeable in languages, obviously. The app's financier or developer has to find a teacher who's exceptionally good, right? Someone with a proven system of their own or a remarkable vision in language teaching. Otherwise, if they don't find that person, they are hiring what? An average teacher, a very average teacher, of which there are many. But finding an innovative teacher is as rare as finding an innovative dentist. Why would it be any different? You don't simply post an ad online on Indeed or something and expect one to appear, do you? Imagine the ad on Indeed, looking for forward-thinking, innovative teacher with proven method of their own who's dedicated years to improving multiple variables in language teaching. Seriously, how many do you think there are out there who do that? Not many. And even if the developer of the app found such a teacher, how would they even know that they found that great teacher? Because the developer and the financier of the app are not experts in the field of language teaching, are they? Let's take a different example. If they were building an app on art history, okay, art history, history of art, well, the same issue would apply. How would you know, if you're not in the field of art history, how would you know how to distinguish between an uninspired teacher and a genuine authority? How would you know? A resume alone doesn't say so on your resume that you're that rare teacher, that inspired teacher. It won't say so on your resume. So this is the first major reason why most language apps fail. They're built by developers who don't truly understand the field they're designing it for. They don't understand language, language acquisition, I mean, and they hire teachers without the ability to evaluate them properly. So that's the first obstacle. Sometimes, as I've said in other videos, multiple teachers are hired, which now creates a second issue, inconsistency. The developer has to harmonize several teaching philosophies, because remember, every teacher has a different philosophy, even within the same high school, right? So the developer has to harmonize several teaching philosophies into a single system. In other cases, the developer, it sometimes happens, very often actually, these are the forward-thinking developers. They have a revolutionary idea, like, we'll teach languages with philosophy quotes or something. We'll take the best philosophy quotes and transform it into an app, and people are going to learn languages that way. It's hilarious, but they do it. If it's not that, it's music or storytelling or some other type of thing. They have this brainwave, this revolutionary idea to teach languages, which, by the way, they know nothing about or very little. So they have to hire a team of teachers, right, to develop this revolutionary idea. But these teachers might secretly think the idea is a bit misguided or utterly ridiculous, but you do it anyway because it's money coming in, isn't it? And it looks good on a resume, help to develop whatever app. They accept the work, they take the contract, and since the teachers that are hired haven't really proved themselves exceptionally either, because we already spoke about the difficulty of finding this rare teacher, this rare language teacher. Mostly they haven't really proven themselves to be anything extraordinary. The project remains average. The app remains average before it even begins. Why? Because you're working with average people, average teachers, average tutors. It remains average. It's condemned. It's destined to be average, and I shouldn't laugh when I say this. Next, you have to consider the medium itself. Where's my phone? We're talking about this, okay? A small smartphone screen, like this, with limited functions, that's what we're talking about. That's where the app's going to live. That's where the app's going to be. Unless the app has found some groundbreaking way to hack the human brain into learning complex structures with minimal effort, it's simply repackaging old methods with new visuals, because the core remains the same. And you can ask yourself, How likely is it that this app, that these app inventors, web developer, teacher over here, have found this revolutionary way to hack the human mind into enabling them to acquire complex things really, really very quickly with this little screen? How likely is it? When you think of it, this is technology driving pedagogy rather than the other way round. And sometimes it does happen, it's all right, but in this case I don't think it's all right. So it's like saying, we've invented a new type of rubber, what applications can we give to it? So you go from the invention to the use of the invention. See what I mean? Sometimes it works. In some cases it works. I mean, we didn't specifically invent books to teach languages. We just understood that having books can be used to teach languages, right? So sometimes it does work, but sometimes it doesn't. So here we've invented the app technology and we're trying to fit language learning into it, right? We went from the app technology, smartphone technology, to the app, to languages, to the application. But what is the app's actual goal? You have to question this also. What does the app exactly do when you say teaching languages? Is it to improve oral comprehension, vocabulary recall, big of a tongue twister that, reading fluency? Most of these apps fail to deliver measurable progress in any of these areas. You have to ask yourself, what does this app even bloody well do? It's like saying learn languages with AI. Yeah, right. What exactly? What is it going to do, your AI? How? What variable exactly? You see what I mean with the going from the invention to the use? Like, for example, we didn't first invent classrooms and then ask ourselves, I wonder what we could do with this blackboard and all these desks and these benches aligned, and God, we've invented this classroom, it looks really good. What do you think we could do with it? Do you think we could use it for teaching something? Oh yeah, there's a thought. Yeah, no, of course not. So, right. Here, in this case, we had the phone and we said, well, what can we do with it? We have this technology called apps. Do you think we can teach you languages with it? Okay. And finally, dear letter writer, there's the human factor. Learning a language is not just a cognitive task. It's a deeply psychological one. Okay, I know that too well. I deal with people every day. I teach people every day. Humans are complex. People struggle with motivation, with fear of failure, with inconsistency of, everything. Humans are inconsistent. I'm inconsistent. Self-doubt, distraction, so many variables. Apps can't address these inner obstacles. I think apps can teach other apps if they're robotic enough. An app can teach another app, funnily, perhaps. But I don't think an app can deal with the complexity of the human mind. So to summarize all these reasons, this is why apps, language apps, mostly suck. The teachers are rarely innovative, rarely authorities, rarely forward-thinking, innovative people who've invented their own system, who've done the thousands of hours of private tutoring, who've improved on so many variables. There's not that many teachers who've invented something out there. There are no more teachers who've invented something than there are dentists who invented something, or mechanics or anything else. You have to keep that in mind. So you are buying something, I'm sorry to say, made by average people, normal people, who it's average, it's very average. Number two, the developers don't understand language learning. Or if they do, it would be rather marginal. It would be rather rare, I think, because you're usually one or the other. You don't major in language teaching and also in app developing, or whatever that field of technology is called. It's not usually a joint degree you do, is it? Number three, the technology is too limited. Okay, and number four, the human learner is just too complex to fit into this simplistic interface. Now, the good thing about this video that I'm especially happy about is that you don't have to believe me. You can actually take all my arguments, reverse them, and prove to yourself if they make sense or not. So you can actually take each one of I have four main arguments here. You can take each one of them and just reverse them and see if it makes sense. And we can even do this together. Let's take my arguments and reverse them. So the creator of the app is usually the same person as the teacher. That's what usually happens, isn't it? We all know this to be true. It's just a truth that we all know. So usually the app developer and the teacher are the same person. They are usually a genius who is both a world-class developer and a world-class pedagogical expert. Usually they're the same person, aren't they? I mean, we all know this, come on. This divide that I mentioned is simply not true, is it? It doesn't exist. The developer of the app is also a world-class teacher. They're usually the same person. So we've reversed this argument. The second argument we can reverse is the expertise. I claim that most tutors and most teachers aren't experts, but we know it's not true. We can also reverse this argument. All high school language teachers are, without exception, master innovators who have dedicated their lives to developing unique, revolutionary language systems. That's what they do, isn't it? All of them. So the teaching community is constantly reinventing itself. There's absolutely no stagnation. It's never happened. Number 3, the hiring process. It's actually super easy to find that rare, innovative teacher with a proven system. It's super easy. So many teachers out there have this innovative system. It's actually really easy to find them. You just put out a generic ad on Indeed or Craigslist, and the best talent in the world immediately applies for the job of developing the app with you. So developers have absolutely no trouble judging of the quality of a teacher's resume. There's no issue here either. They know, they can recognize a good teacher or tutor from a bad one. So even if they know nothing about language acquisition, for the app developers it's no issue at all. Let's reverse my fourth argument, the medium, the app. This small, limiting smartphone screen is actually the perfect canvas for learning. There was no better tool to learn a language. It's the smartphone. It was perfect. So the technology effortlessly manages all the nuance and complexity of fluency. It's designed for it. You could not have thought up a better tool. So the app is never about repackaging old methods. It always offers technological hack that fundamentally rewrites the way the human brain acquires language. It's actually a thing it does. It hacks into the human brain. It's just so easy to help humans acquire complexity, and the app was the perfect tool to do it, and we know this, don't we? And argument number 5 that we can reverse is the human factor. In fact, the human learner isn't complex at all. People are quite simple. They're not complex. We're simple, we're predictable, we're perfectly motivated. Every day we wake up and say, I'm going to learn a language, I'm going to put in 2 hours. There's no issue there at all. There's no fear of failure, there's no self-doubt, there's no distraction. It can all be instantly solved by a well-placed notification and a little, I don't know, you gained a little badge, bing, you know, it's, oh yeah, no issue there, is there? So this was my answer to this letter writer, whom I thank for bringing up the topic. Once again, I don't condone the language. I don't think we should be calling language apps sucky. I think it's a very rude word. And I think we must acknowledge and even celebrate the hard work of app developers. That's all I have to say about that. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. My name's Chris from OuiCommunicate. I hope this video was informative and useful to you.